For Comedy Hype News, I'm Symphony Thompson. Now, it's been a few weeks since the release of Bad Boys Ride or Die, and more reviews are starting to roll in. Most have said they've enjoyed the latest installment, with the directors even stating that the movie parallels real life. Towards the end of the film, it's reported that Martin's character slaps Will repeatedly in what some are calling a reference to the 2022 Oscar slap. However, some fans who watched the movie didn't see it as a subliminal, only a funny moment. Well, the source has reported that Chris Rock's reaction to finding out Smith getting slapped in the movie, and according to the source, Rock finds it to be a pretty cheap stunt and calls Will's attention-seeking behavior nauseating. The source would go on to say, it aggravates Chris that people keep bringing it up. He suffered as much as Will has, and now Will has turned it into a funny scene in his movie. As far as Chris is concerned, it's more proof that Will's a total piece of work who deserves all the crap he's gotten. Chris isn't going to let it go. If there's a way to get back at Will down the line, he'll take it. Joining me is our very own Danielle Miller to discuss this topic in more detail. Now, Danielle, last week we asked, was this the end? I think we've asked a couple times at this point. Was this the end of, talking about the 2022 Oscar slap? But this shows that it is not the end. So I'm very curious. First, we'll start with this allegedly source, or this source who says Chris is allegedly upset from hearing about this slap in the movie. What's your reaction to the take on that from the source?
Like, I watched the movie and that never crossed my mind in the movie. Like, when I read it, I was like, how you get there? But I think it was a trauma response of seeing it. And I'm not going to give any spoilers as yet. Symphony, did you watch the movie?
Not yet. Not yet. This week. I'm going this week, though.
Go today. How could you give me a card till you go watch it? Come, give me a card. Give me it. No, because I can't even say if that's a trauma response, because then if you have that type of trauma response, then you have the response to anybody who gets slapped. So for me, I don't know, Chris, if
So let me ask you this, because of course this is allegedly, right? So I want to make sure we keep reiterating this is allegedly. This is just a report from a source. We don't know for sure that Chris is upset. But if Chris is upset, do you think he has the right, or not? I don't even know if that's the word, but he has a reason to be upset. Do you think he should be upset seeing that, being that, he had his own special addressing this?
here's the reality. When you put it into perspective, I don't want to hear them talk about the slap anymore in public. Like, I don't want to hear it anymore, because I just think that, I don't know, but I think as a human being, those two men are gonna hold some type of grudge with each other until they have a come to Jesus moment. Because the reality is, the fact that in Chris Rock's comedy special, first of all, let's take it back to the slap. Will slapped him in front of millions of people, including his kids saw that. And then you had Chris Rock's comedy special where he called Jada a bitch. It don't matter how you might feel about her, that's that man's wife, that is his choice. So they're gonna always feel some type of way about each other. So in this case, though, if Chris is upset about it, because it is reported, we don't know. If he is upset about it, then he needs to see some serious counseling. Because honestly and truly, as one of the people that sat through that movie and watched that, that ain't never crossed my mind about that 2022 Oscar slap.
Absolutely. Now, let's talk about this scene, right? Because the directors will actually have their own interview with the Variety where they actually talked about this moment, and we will find out that it's actually improvised. Let me read some of those from that interview. So the directors explained how the moment wasn't rehearsed, and although, they were a little weary about it, the scene ultimately paid off. Here's what one of the directors said. They said, Will is coming with this idea. He made this movie really personal. Will was really engaged from the first second that we started pre-production to the last day of the edit. When we were shooting that moment, the sun was going down and we were like, we didn't finish the scene. So that was really almost a freestyle moment. That was not on the page. That was in the moment. The other director, L. Arby, said that was on the spot. We just said like, yeah, Martin, just go ahead, more and more. They would go on to say that after the slap happened, it felt like a big release for some reason. Like there was some kind of tension and then a release, and the audience laughed and enjoyed that moment. You've never 100% sure up until you test it, how they're going to react. The fact that in the test screenings, it was one of the biggest laughs you could have. We felt like, okay, we did the right thing. It worked out. It was important for that moment, for the movie, and for Will. Now, you know, obviously, as I mentioned, this scene was improvised. Based on this interview, what I get out of it, Will came up with this idea, right? So they're in the scene, they're not finishing, the sun is going down. Will comes up with this idea. The directors are a little weary about it, but they're like, okay, go ahead. They find it funny, and it ultimately pays off. Let me ask you this. Do you think, you know, if Will did come up with this improvised moment, that is a pretty big moment at the end, do you think Will is wrong for coming up with that idea knowing that there had been some history of the Oscar slap?
I just wanted to point out the fact that you said Will in one of the readings, and you reminded me of Nikki from the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
It's the country.
I want people to remember that Will Smith is one of the biggest actors in Hollywood. There's a reason why he's one of the biggest actors in Hollywood, and that's because he is one of the best. He puts his heart and his soul into every character that he portrays. And even when you watch some of the BTS from Bad Boys, I don't know if you guys saw where he had the gun, like the camera was strapped onto him and then flipping yeah. And even on this press tour, you saw like he was in the movies with people and they didn't know. He's been all around the world, you know, releasing this. He puts his heart and his soul into projects. When it came to that part in particular, the reason being why it felt like it was tension and then release is because if you watch the movie, that was legit the character that Will was portraying. And he did an excellent job doing it. So when that slap did happen, that slap, and I'm happy he put it in because that was a realistic response. It wasn't something that was out the box. It was a realistic response. The comedic timing was perfect. It was like, I ain't never think but that slap. It was, where people get these from? And you know, I'm a deep person. I'm a very deep person. But in this case, I really think like they fishing here. Like it's a fishing expedition. Yeah. I think that slap was perfect. And I feel kudos to Will. If it was him, I mean, the director said it was him for implementing that. And that just goes to show how he will push the limit to get the job done and to make sure that he delivers a great product.
Yeah.
Martin too. Salute to Martin Lawrence.
Absolutely. Here's what I say, and then we can close out. You know, I think art, especially, you know, in this form, typically you take real life experiences. That's how you channel certain actors and certain scenes or whatever the case, and you bring that into the film to make it realistic. So hypothetically speaking, if this scene was stemmed from the slap, like I'm not mad at that, right? Because we saw Chris Rock do the same thing, a real life event that happened to him, and he was able to put that in his art and release it to the world through his special selective outrage. So I think that's what we do. We take our real life experiences and we implement it. So even if he did take that Oscar slap, like I'm not mad at it. I didn't think it was distasteful. I didn't think it was like, oh, I'm trying to make a, you know, mockery out of the situation. Based on the few clips that I have seen, and I'm going to go watch it this week, I promise, Danielle. But based on what I have seen and just from reading the articles and the feedback from it, like you said, I think it was perfect timing, and I think obviously it paid off because it's a big scene in the movie. But, you know, I do wish them well in their personal lives. I do hope both of them are getting the help that they need, the mental health. That was a big moment that obviously we're still talking about 2 years you know, later, that I know we're still going to be talking about later.
No, Symphony. We don't need to talk about this no more. And I also want to put in there too. I'm sorry for Will Smith, the character. If we remember the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, what did Uncle Phil do to Carlton and Will? What did Will do to Carlton? It's like comedic humor. Like I'm gonna eat my popcorn.
It's okay. It's the internet. It's the internet. I don't know. We'll see. But I don't know. You know, they've heard enough from us now. We want to hear from you guys in the comments below. Let us know, what are your thoughts about Chris Rock allegedly being upset about the Will Smith slap scene in Bad Boys Ride or Die? Let us know in the comments below. For Comedy Hype News, I'm Symphony Thompson.
Put it in the comments.
Can I have my card back?
No, not until you watch it.
Before Pinflow AI, Lester's friends always told him he should try stand-up comedy because he makes them laugh all the time. But he could never put the jokes together.
Yeah. Where my single ladies at? Single ladies!
After Pinflow AI, Lester got his own comedy special.
And so I told her, what you mean, who this? You called my phone.
Before Pinflow AI, Lester was the worst freestyle rapper ever.
My mama black. Y'all are too. You.
After Pinflow AI, Lester became a top 5 battle rapper of all time.
Yo, check it. Step to me, you get obliterated. Your weak lines make me yawn. You're outdated. My rhymes hit harder than a brick. I'm elevated. No competition to me. They migrated.
Before Pinflow AI, Lester never knew how to speak to his crush.
Yeah, there was something I wanted to tell you. Yeah, you was smelling different last night. Oh, no, I ain't mean it like that. No, it was not even like that, nah.
After Pinflow AI, Lester was never at a loss for words.
Yeah, last night, you was smelling like we should have just left in the same car.
With Pinflow AI, you're never at a loss for words. It's the friend you've always needed.